Hello, everyone, and welcome to Ful-on, your Fulham-centric football podcast. I'm your host, Ash Woolford. Joining me today for our Wolves preview are my usual co-host, Mozza. How you doing, buddy?
What do you reckon? I'm ecstatic.
Yeah, you actually sound ecstatic this week, though, so we'll go with that. We made a last-minute substitution. We've actually we got no Drew and no AJ today, but we've brought in a very, very good substitute to bring in someone who loves football, loves Fulham, and I know will talk a lot of sense coming into this game. It's Fulham Lillies co-founder Sarah. How you doing, Sarah?
I'm good, thanks. Thanks for having me. So I'm the Harry Wilson, am I? I'm coming on. 2-1.
That's exactly it. Obviously, we're here to talk about the preview the Wolves game that's coming up on Saturday. But before we do that, Sarah, it would be amiss of us to have you on and not talk about the Lilies and get an update about what's going on and stuff with yourselves. I've also got a few questions for you, and I want to just get a little bit of information from you about a few bits. How is it going at the moment with the Lilies? You know, what's the latest with you guys?
It's going really well for us at the moment. We had our documentary, the Sky Sports documentary that came out on the 4th of November, straight after the Brentford game. It's been really well received, and we've had a lot of great feedback from it, and we're really hoping that Sky will look at possibly doing another documentary with us, going a little bit more further into the work that we actually do. So that's been really great. Tomorrow evening, some of us will be going to the Football Content Awards because the Lilies have been shortlisted for the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Organisation. And we've also been shortlisted for the Fans for Diversity Award at the Football Supporters Association Awards, which is happening on the 2nd of December. So, yeah, it's busy at the moment. We're doing some stuff on under fives work. I'm meeting with the Premier League next week to talk about that. And also we're working on a project about violence against women and girls. So, yeah, very, very busy at the moment.
I did watch the documentary that came on after the Brentford game. Actually, I got home after the game that night, like many of us would have done, full of adrenaline. No way I was going to bed, even though it was 1 a.m. So I decided to watch it because I'd recorded it. It's excellent. You know, I know I've spoken to most of you before. I've had the Fulham Lillies, a group of you on the previous show, and we had where we spoke about the work you were doing. You know how much of a massive fan I am of the work you guys are doing.
Yeah.
It's really important.
So supportive of us, so we appreciate that.
And it's excellent, really. You know, it's really good. And I thought it was really good how it wasn't just about Fulham Lillies as a whole. That there were fans of other football clubs that were involved as well. Although from a good point of view for Sky, it was mainly about you guys. So that's great.
Yeah,
we know
we enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, it was very good. We know that obviously you have a project coming up this weekend at the Wolves game to do with the food bank. Can you tell us a bit more about that, just so everyone who's listening can sort of know what they need to do or how to help out?
Yeah, so there's an initiative that's been going for a few years now, a few seasons, called Hunger Doesn't Wear Club Colours. And most of the Premier League clubs now have their own supporters groups that just deal with food banks, that do pretty much every game, every home game they'll collect. So we were contacted earlier in the season by Manchester City, and they asked us that, if we'd like to donate to their collection that they do on a Saturday. So we put the word out and we raised £150. So we were able to take along, we nipped to the Asda across the road, we nipped a trolley, and we took a trolley load of food to them, and we also donated some money. And then Everton, when we played Everton away, they have a similar initiative. So we donated some money to the Everton cause as well. And we just thought, well, why don't we do something at Fulham? So we are working with the Hammersmith and Fulham Food Bank, who are part of the Trussell Trust. And on Saturday, we're going to be at the Johnny Haynes stand from 1 o'clock till 2:30, and we're asking people to donate food, toiletries, and if they want to donate cash instead, there'll be volunteers from the food bank who will be able to collect cash and take card payments as well. There is a list on our social media and on our website of all the foods that people can donate and toiletries as well. And because we are coming up to Christmas, they're calling it their winter warmer donation. So they're asking for things such as hot chocolates and mince pies, things that can be given for Christmas. So everything's on there, but it's non-perishable food. So it's nothing that needs putting in a fridge or a freezer. It's really covered foods with long life on them that we're looking for.
Yeah, and I've seen on your social media that obviously that you've advertised about, and we'll put a link in the description of the episode so anyone who wants to see who's going to the game on Saturday what you're looking for in terms of donation. Then I challenge everyone who's going to the game on Saturday who sees this to bring at least one item, even if they have to pop to the Tesco Express just down the road before they come up to the ground, because it's that time of year when we should be looking after as many people as we can do. So it's a great initiative, and I'm really glad to see you guys are sort of bringing it down to Fulham, because not everyone always sees Fulham as an area where those things are needed, and people will be surprised how much they are. So it's a good job that you're doing that. Sarah, one last thing before we get into talking about the game for Wolves on Saturday. We did put the feelers out to everyone online about that you were coming on, if anyone had any questions. Quite a lot of questions. I would suggest to people that they should go and this is a shameless plug, go and watch the FFC and Me episode that we did with yourself. That was actually brought out again a couple of weeks ago, because the answers will be in there with that, because people want to know certain things. But there are a few that people have asked. Carl FFC, which is at Carl D97 on Twitter, has asked Sarah, what was the first ever Fulham game that you went to?
So there's sort of two games that I'm counting here. Technically, my very first game was the 1975 Cup final. That was my very first game. And the reason for that was because my aunt was meant to be babysitting me while my nan and granddad went to the Cup final. She went into labour 2 weeks early. And my granddad was not missing the Cup final. So the deal was that my nan went with my aunt to the hospital and I went to the Cup final. I know nothing about it. I couldn't tell you a thing about it. I just know from being told that I was there. But the first game that I actually went to that I do remember was we played Charlton Athletic at the Cottage it was March in '79. We won 3-1. I got a wagon wheel at half time, and that was it. Happy days, and I've literally been going ever since.
The other question we had is actually by one of our co-hosts, AJ, and he wants to know what Fulham chant you ever get stuck in your head on non-match days.
At the moment, it's the Rodrigo one. Literally, I will find myself humming the Rodrigo chant all the time. But I think longevity-wise, it's you're just too good to be true. I think that longevity, that's the one that I'll often find myself singing.
Can you give us a rendition of the Rodrigo thing right now?
I'm going to put it down to the fact that I've got a sore throat. I wouldn't want to share that with anybody.
Cool. Thanks very much, Sarah. I appreciate that. Obviously, if anyone does want to hear some more about Sarah and how she got into being a Fulham fan and stuff, I do suggest you go back and watch the FFC and Me episode with Sarah, because it's a great watch. You probably one of the first people I had on who had interesting answers for everything, and put someone in the Cult Hero Hall of Fame that properly deserves to be in there. And actually, your entry of putting him into the Cult Hero Hall of Fame inspired one of the T-shirts that we now sell on our website, which we'll probably have to send you a copy of it, because he's only there because of you. So we'll talk about that off air. Obviously, let's get into what we've come on the show to talk about, and which is obviously the Wolves game on Saturday. We come back after an international break, which sometimes is for Fulham could be one of those things that, international breaks for us, we either go into them poorly and come back great, or go into great and come back poorly. We don't tend to carry on form either way after them, but we are looking for a third straight Premier League win going into this game against a Wolves side that haven't really pulled up many trees so far this season. They've been a bit underwhelming, even though they did win their last game and are going to be, on a bit of a bounce for that. Mozza, as we always start this episode when we do these sort of shows, what are you expecting from a Fulham squad on Saturday?
I'm expecting a win, but do you mean in terms of what our lineup's going to be?
Yeah, more lineup wise, because we.
Yeah, I don't see much of a change from what we've had in the last two games against Palace and Brentford. Would it be very brash of us to start Traore and Raul at the same time against their former club? I don't know. I'm not sure that will happen, but I'd kind of love to see it. And if it was ever written to happen, now is the moment. We'll have Anderson back, I think, now, won't we? So I expect to see him in the back four as well. So for me, those are the only changes, really.
I'm not expecting much. Sarah, Harry Wilson has obviously done an awful lot coming off the bench in the last two games, and we all had a discussion about whether or not he'd earn a start in a game. We were sort of under the consensus that he'd maybe earned more game time, but not a start just yet, because he's come on and scored, but the overall play seems to be more important than anything for us starting a game. He's gone into the international break and scored again for Wales. He's on scintillating form at the moment. I think I saw somewhere like the longest goal drought he's had so far this season in playing is like 170 minutes, which is crazy considering that he's played more games for Wales than he has for Fulham. But I know you're a big Harry Wilson fan. Are you expecting him to maybe get some more game time this week? Maybe start? What are you expecting?
Like you, I don't think he's going to start. I'd like to see it, but I don't think he's going to. But yeah, maybe 60th minute, bring him on and see what he can do. I think at the moment he is that impact player that we need. I don't think he's somebody that can start from the and do the full 90 minutes, because if you're not bringing him on as an impact player, who else have you got? If you're starting with him and to then bring on. So yeah, as much as I'd like him to start, I think Marco will just bring him on and just get him to score two last minute winners.
I'm hoping he doesn't need to come on to score a last minute winner this time. I'm hoping we're going to be a bit more in control, because I can't really take the nerves of those games. And for once, I'd like to not have to be literally sat on the edge of my seat wanting to cry at the back of the Hammersmith end. It would be nice. As great as that feeling was of scoring those winners, scoring the winner and winning at Palace, I don't need it. None of us need that stress. So we'll.
I literally was turning to the people next to me, going, "I pay to put myself through this. I literally pay people good money to put myself through this pain and agony. It makes no sense at all."
Obviously, we were talking about Wolves and the fact they finally got their first Premier League win of the season against a really poor Southampton team in the last game that they played before the international break. We're going into this after 2 wins, and other than maybe that Aston Villa performance where we were really bad, I think we've started this season exceptionally well, and I think it's performances we should be proud of most of the time. We all know my frustrations at our inability to get the ball in the box correctly, but our build-up play and our defending so far this season has been outstanding. Mozza, I think on Saturday, you look at that Wolves team, they have their midfield is probably where we need to concentrate on winning. We win midfield, we probably win the game. But is there anything else you're expecting from us on Saturday? Are you expecting us just to sort of try and control the midfield and sit on that, or are you expecting Marco to be Marco and just try and play, that attractive build-up football that he does and not really care who we're playing?
I think we'll see a very similar performance that we did against Palace. I don't want to give away my prediction yet if we're leaving that for a little bit later. But yeah, I think we will be holding up the ball. I think we're going to have most of the possession. I think it will be an attacking play. And yes, yeah, I think Wolves will be up for it off the back of their win against Southampton. But let's not forget, both those clubs are the bottom two right now. That said, after the international break, who knows? Not trying to put my Fulham hat on and be wary or pessimistic, but I'm feeling quite good and positive about it, and I can see us, holding the ball up and playing a very attacking style of football. It'll be interesting to see whether or not we can play a lot of those balls into the box. I'm interested to see if Marco will tell them to be doing the long crosses in, or if we're just going to try and play it directly with through balls on the inside of the box. I'd like to see more of the latter personally. So that's what I'm hoping to see.
Yeah, I think you're not far off it in terms of how we're gonna sort of try and control the game. I don't expect Marco to do anything but be Marco and just try to play our football and not worry about who we're playing against. We saw that even against Man City away. That yes, we gave them the respect because they're Man City, but we still played our football, and that's what we tend to try to do. And it's one of the reasons why we're all loving watching Fulham play so much so far this season. Forget the fact we're in seventh, forget the fact that we've had a few really good results. You know, the football we're playing is just amazing to watch. I'm loving watching it. As frustrating as it can be, the fact that we aren't so great at getting the ball in the box and finding somebody, but I think that's just a formation thing and the way that we tend to attack. Some of our attacking play so far this season has just been really, really good. Sarah, looking at the game on Saturday, attacking wise, what do you think might be our secret in terms of trying to score? Because I know that Mozza mentioned that it'd be nice to see Traore play who's just going to pace it and go through there. But, we've seen some really good, skillful attack play, through quite a lot of our players so far this season. What do you want to see? What do you expect to see from us going into the game?
I'd like to see Reece Nelson start over Traore. And then again, I think as Traore did a lot last season, he was good when he came on again as an impact player. And I think as Mozza, as you were saying, him coming on as an impact player against Wolves, his old club, who, basically, let him go. I think he might sort of want to prove a point there. So I'd like to start with Reece Nelson because the last couple of games that he has started, and we've started to see some good things from him. It's taken a little while, but I'm really impressed with him. Iwobi as well going forward. I think he's been absolutely brilliant for us. I think Jimenez, I think he'll probably start with Jimenez. My only concern, again, with Jimenez and with Pereira and Robinson is similar to after the Villa game. They've had long journeys. I think, I think Jimenez played like early hours of this morning. And he's travelling back. Pereira, he was an unused sub for Brazil, so he's travelled all of that way, not even played, and Robinson's played as well. So they're my concerns. I'd like to see them start because, I think they're the best people in their positions, but it reminds me of what happened against Aston Villa when Pereira I thought was awful that game. I think he got booed off, didn't he, when he got substituted? But he just didn't look in it. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I'm expecting that there might be a few changes on Saturday. I don't know where they're going to come from, and I do think that, Anthony Robinson and Jimenez especially have both played in two big, basically double-header games over the weekend. It's great to see that Rail scored again this morning. It was a lovely finish from him. But weirdly, Jedi managed to play some of the game for USA in midfield for them. So that was a bit of an odd one seeing that. But I know they're both professionals that love to play football, and I don't expect anything less than them starting. But I wouldn't be too surprised if maybe this was one of those games where we see Rodrigo Muniz come back in and maybe just give Rail a bit of a rest, because when you're 34, 35 years old, that traveling can probably take a bit more of a toll on you than anything else. Obviously, this weekend we don't know. We're not 100% sure whether or not we're going to see Sasha Lukic back. And whether or not he's recovered from his shoulder injury. If he does come back, I don't actually expect him to get straight back into the team. As good as he has been, and as much as we've all loved him playing for him so far this season, I think Sander Berg over the last 3 or 4 games has been really, really good. He's stepped up and he's got better and better and better. And you can tell that Marco's done that thing that Marco does, where he's brought a player in who's probably low on confidence coming in from a team he's coming from, and just turned them into the player they are. And we've seen that with Jimenez, who we're probably seeing some of the best attacking play out of him. Them since he, like the second season he was at Wolves, when he scored 50 odd goals for them super quick. So we'll see how that goes going into that. Look, we'll finish this episode how we always finish these episodes. Sarah, you're new to the show, so we'll start with you. I would like a Wolves player to look out for, a Fulham player that you want to look out for Saturday, and a scoreline prediction, please.
So for me, I think the Wolves player is Matthias Cunha. Is that how you pronounce his surname, Cunha? I saw him against Southampton, and as we've sort of said, neither team on the day were the greatest team, but he just seemed to have something more about him compared to the rest of the Wolves players. I think he assisted on the first goal, scored the second, and he sort of, when he first went there, I think they bought him as like a number 9, but he seems to play a little bit deeper as more like a number 10 now, and it seems to suit him. So I think he could be a threat. He's reminds me of that Serbian bloke who used to play for us. Don't know if you remember him. Went off to Saudi Arabia. Won't say his name. He's a bit like him, as in, his hold-up play, and he's quite physical. Not necessarily tracking back and defending and doing that, but he's just got. He's quite an intelligent footballer, so I think he might be a bit of a threat for us. And for me, it's Reece Nelson. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from him, especially the last couple of games. So I'd like him to get a goal, because he's been in and around it. So yeah, and I'm going to go 3-1 Fulham.
That's it. Too optimistic for us on this show, by the way, just so you know. Mozza, yourself, mate, give us a Wolves player to look out for, a Fulham player that you want to see perform on Saturday, and a scoreline prediction, please.
If you think what Sarah just said was too optimistic, wait until you hear this. Yeah, I was going to say Gwenu as well, for all the reasons Sarah just said, but for balance and, also not for controversy, but just to put it out there, Mario Lemina as well. Do we go there? I don't know. But yeah, I think there could be trouble there in the midfield, but he's kind of like a pressing attacker as well. So I think that could be a bit of a threat. And I'm not trying to sound like a copycat, but Reece Nelson for me as well, for us. I think he is gasping for a goal, and boy, does he deserve it. And he is explosive. I really hope he starts. He is that energy injection we need from the off. Now, hope you're both sitting down. My score prediction, because we've not had a big one in a while, I'm saying 4-0 Fulham. And I hope this doesn't come back to haunt me. I'm being positive for once.
Yeah, I was about to say it's a bit too positive for you. You start for someone who starts every show, no matter what, saying you're ecstatic, sounding like you've just been kicked in the face.
You said I sounded like I meant it today, so
yeah, you do sound like you mean it, and I'm hoping that you're not far off it. For me, obviously going into the game, as much as I agree that Mateus Cunha's a great player, he's probably one of those players that if you're a Wolves fan that you're sort of beacon into the hope that's going to kickstart something because they've not been great so far this season. We all know how good Mario Lemina is. You know, he's one of those players that had we not got relegated under under those circumstances, then you would have hoped that we would have maybe signed him. Um, you know, because he's a good player, and you know, he'll be remembered by Fulham fans fondly for that Liverpool away game alone, even though none of us were there to see it. For me, you know, I've got a sneaking suspicion that Saturday's game can actually come down to their goalkeeper, uh, and I think that Jose Sarr has actually been okay so far this season. It's not his fault that you know we've had it. We've seen it for many times where they've got a decent goalkeeper who the defense in front of him is not really up to scratch, and you know he is a good goalkeeper, and it wouldn't be beyond the realms of Fulham that he has the game on Saturday where he basically turned into to you know to Peter Shilton, and we haven't got a chance. So you know it wouldn't be surprised, and he's also you know just gone back and played some more games for Portugal, so he'll be confident, and we'll go with there for Fulham. I want to be a bit different. As much as I'm loving Reece Nelson, I'm really loving Reece Nelson. He's one of those things that he is that eternal thing of never fall in love with lone players, but I'm in deep. I love him. You know, he is great. I think Saturday could be another one of those games where Alex Iwobi might really be the difference for us. He has been outstanding so far this season. I think that the level of football he's playing so far this year is probably beyond even the football we expected and like, we'd hoped that we would see from him. Especially when he came in from Everton, and he has been outstanding. And again, you know, I know I'm using the word outstanding quite a lot, but it has been how it has been. So I'm expecting another big game from him. So he'll be the Fulham player for me to watch out for, I think. A scoreline prediction. I want to be super optimistic. Uh, you know, I'm not going to quite go 4-0. I think Sarah's not far from 3-1. I'm going to go 3-2. Just got a funny feeling that you know, Wolves might score a couple of goals against us. Not because they look necessarily prolific in front of goal, but it would just be the Fulham thing to do to make it as uncomfortable as physically possible, but still look really good. So I'm going to go for 3-2, and we'll go from there. Guys, thank you very much for joining me. Sarah, thanks very much for stepping in and coming on the show. It's great to have you on. You know, we're hoping to get maybe some more of the Lillies on at some point over the season when we need stopgaps. You know, those super subs when the other guys aren't available, because it is great to have you on. And as always, you know, we're always here to support you guys because you know the work you do is pretty important. A reminder to everyone who has heard about the food bank information. We'll put the link to the Lillies Twitter page and Blue Sky page in our description of the episode, because I know all the information is there for everyone to look out for. One last thing from us, obviously, is the Fulham Ladies are playing a big FA Cup second round game on Sunday. If you are going to the game, that'd be great. If anyone has some pictures that they want to send us for us to talk about, we don't often talk about the Fulham women's team on our show, but they should be exceptionally proud of themselves of the football they played so far this season. They're 11 games unbeaten. The start of the season, they're into the FA Cup proper second round, which is, I think, is the furthest they've got since the team have sort of been put back together again, and they've started to push, and they've looked really impressive. So, you know, from everyone on Ful-on, we wish them all the best in their game on Sunday. Other than that, Mozza, I'll see you after the game on Saturday to review for the Monday's episode. Sarah, again, thanks very much for coming on. Come on, you Whites.